My name is Myra Whitmore. I'm 34 years old, a cardiology resident, and a single mother of 3-year-old twins. 2 months ago, I was lying in an emergency room, bleeding internally after a car accident. My hands were shaking as I dialed my parents' number. I needed someone, anyone, to watch Lily and Lucas for just a few hours while doctors tried to save my life. What I got instead was a text message in our family group chat that read, "You've always been a nuisance and a burden. We have Taylor Swift tickets with Vanessa tonight. Figure it out yourself." So I did. From my hospital bed, I called a nanny service, paid triple the rate, and made a decision that would change everything. I cut them off. Completely. The monthly mortgage payments, the health insurance, the car repairs. Everything I'd been quietly paying for the past 8 years, gone. 2 weeks later, there was a knock on my door. Before I tell you who was standing there and what happened next, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this story. Drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from and what time it is there. I love connecting with you all. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. Growing up in the Carver household, I learned early that love came with a ranking system. My older sister Vanessa was the star, always had been. She was 3 years older, effortlessly beautiful, and had this magnetic quality that made our parents light up whenever she walked into a room. When she announced she wanted to pursue fashion design, Mom cried happy tears. Dad called her our little visionary. When I said I wanted to become a doctor, Dad nodded. That's practical. That was it. Practical. I told myself it didn't matter. I buried myself in textbooks, aced every exam, and clawed my way into one of the top medical schools in the country. 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of medical school, 3 years of residency, specializing in cardiology. The day I graduated from medical school should have been one of the proudest moments of my life. My parents arrived 2 hours late. "Sorry, sweetheart," Mom said, not quite meeting my eyes. "Vanessa had an emergency meeting with a potential investor. We had to drop her off first." No flowers, no celebration dinner, just a quick photo in the parking lot before they rushed off because Vanessa needed emotional support after her meeting. Compare that to Vanessa's first fashion show 3 years earlier. The whole family flew to New York, five-star hotel, front row seats. Dad posted 17 photos on Facebook with captions like, "So proud of our talented girl." I got a parking lot photo and a lukewarm "Congrats, honey." I told myself it made sense. Fashion is competitive. Vanessa needed more support. Medicine is stable. I could handle things on my own. But what I didn't know then was that my parents' favoritism wasn't just emotional. It was financial. And I was the one footing the bill. It started 8 years ago, right after I finished medical school. Dad called me one evening, his voice tight with embarrassment. "Myra, we're in a bit of a bind. The mortgage payment is due, and things are tight this month. Could you help us out? Just this once?" Just this once. I transferred $2,400 that night without hesitation. They were my parents. Of course I would help. But just this once became every month. The mortgage, then their health insurance premiums, $800 monthly, when Dad's company dropped their coverage, then the emergencies, the car repairs, the roof leak, the new furnace. I never said no, not once. When I got pregnant with the twins and their father walked out during my 5th month, I called my parents from the hospital after a scary bleeding episode. I was terrified, alone, desperate for support. "Oh, honey, we wish we could come," Mom said, "but Vanessa is so stressed after her show in Milan. She really needs us right now." They didn't come. Not for the birth. Not for the first month when I was barely sleeping, nursing 2 newborns while studying for my board exams. But the automatic transfers kept going out. 2,400 for the mortgage, 800 for insurance, whatever else they needed. I kept a spreadsheet. I don't know why. Maybe some part of me needed to see it in black and white. The numbers were staggering. 8 years, $320,000. Give or take. I never asked for gratitude. I never expected a parade. But I also never expected to be called a burden by the people I'd been carrying for almost a decade. That reckoning was coming. I just didn't know it yet. The accident happened on a Tuesday evening. I was driving home after a 16-hour shift. My eyes were heavy, but I was alert enough. The light turned green. I pulled into the intersection. I never saw the truck. It ran the red light doing 50. The impact hit my driver's side door. Glass exploded. Metal screamed. The world spun, then went black. I woke up in an ambulance, pain searing through my abdomen. A familiar face hovered above me. Myra? Myra, can you hear me? Can you tell? Marcus Smith, emergency physician at my hospital. We'd worked together for 2 years. Marcus? My voice came out wrong, weak. What's happening? You were in an accident. We're taking you in now. Possible internal bleeding. You're going to need surgery. Surgery. The word hit me like a second collision. My kids. I grabbed his arm. Lily and Lucas. They're with the babysitter. She leaves at 8. Marcus checked his watch. It's 7:15. 45 minutes. I had 45 minutes to find someone to watch my children while doctors cut me open. I fumbled for my phone with shaking hands. Blood smeared across the screen as I pulled up my parents' number. It rang 4 times. Myra? Dad's voice was impatient. We're about to leave. What is it? Dad, I need help. The words tumbled out between gasps of pain. I was in an accident. I'm being taken to the hospital. Surgery. Please, I need you and Mom to watch the twins, just for a few hours. Silence on the line. Then, hold on. I heard muffled voices. My mother's tone, sharp and annoyed. Vanessa's laugh in the background. The line went quiet. Then my phone buzzed with a text notification. Family group chat. The message was from my mother. Myra, you've always been a nuisance and a burden. We have Taylor Swift tickets with Vanessa tonight. We've been planning this for months. Figure it out yourself. I read it twice, 3 times. The words didn't change. A second message appeared. From Dad. You're a doctor. You're used to hospitals. Don't make this into a bigger deal than it needs to be. Then Vanessa. Not words. Just a laughing emoji. That was it. That was all I was worth to them. A laughing emoji while I lay bleeding in an ambulance. Marcus was watching me. I didn't realize he could see my screen until he spoke. Myra. His voice was careful. What did they say? I couldn't answer. Something had cracked open inside me, and it wasn't just the internal bleeding. I need a phone, I whispered. A phone with internet. Mine's dying. He handed me his without question. I Googled emergency nanny services, found one with 24-hour availability, called, explained the situation in clipped professional sentences. Yes, I would pay triple the rate. Yes, I would provide the babysitter's contact for handoff instructions. Yes, I authorized payment immediately. It was done in 4 minutes. Marcus was still watching me when I handed back his phone. He didn't say anything. He didn't have to. Can you screenshot those messages? I asked. From my phone, before it dies. He nodded slowly. Yeah, I can do that. I closed my eyes as the ambulance pulled into the hospital bay. The pain was overwhelming now, but it wasn't coming from my abdomen anymore. From that hospital bed, with an IV in my arm and fear in my heart, I made the easiest decision of my life. The surgery took 4 hours. Ruptured spleen. Internal bleeding. Another few minutes and I might not have made it. I spent 5 days in the hospital. 5 days of IV drips, morphine haze, and nurses checking my vitals every few hours. Not one call from my parents. Not one text. Not one visit. The emergency nanny service was expensive, but worth every penny. They coordinated with my regular sitter, kept Lily and Lucas safe and fed, sent me daily photo updates. Strangers took better care of my situation than my own family. On day 3, I asked the nurse for my laptop. Are you sure you're up for it? She asked. You should be resting. I need to take care of something. My hands were steady as I logged into my banking app. 8 years of automatic transfers stared back at me. Regular as clockwork. $2,400 on the 1st of every month, $800 on the 15th. I canceled them all. Then I opened my phone settings, blocked my father's number, my mother's, Vanessa's. There was no dramatic moment, no tears, no second guessing. It felt like setting down a weight I'd been carrying so long I'd forgotten it was there. Marcus stopped by later that afternoon. He'd checked on me every day, bringing coffee and quiet company. "How are you feeling?" he asked. I looked up at him, and for the first time in years, I told the truth. Better. For the first time in 8 years, I actually feel better. He didn't push for details, he just nodded, like he understood. I knew the fallout was coming. My parents would notice the missing money. They would rage and cry and demand explanations. But I didn't expect what came next. 2 weeks after my surgery, I was finally home, moving slowly, still sore, but alive. It was a Saturday morning. I was making pancakes for Lily and Lucas, their favorite weekend treat. The kitchen smelled like butter and maple syrup. Lucas was trying to stack his toy blocks. Lily was helping by knocking them down. Then came the knock. 3 sharp raps on my front door. I wiped my hands on a dish towel, my heart rate spiking. If it was my parents, I wasn't ready. I didn't know if I'd ever be ready. I looked through the peephole, and my breath caught. Standing on my doorstep was a tall man in his 70s. Silver hair, neatly combed, sharp blue eyes that I remembered from childhood. A posture that still carried the authority of 40 years on the federal bench. Grandpa Thomas. I hadn't seen him in almost 3 years. My parents always had excuses for why we couldn't visit. Too busy, too far, too inconvenient. I opened the door, and he pulled me into a hug so tight it made my surgical incision ache. "Myra." His voice was rough. "Let me look at you." He pulled back, his eyes scanning my face, then dropping to where my hand rested protectively over my abdomen. "I know everything," he said quietly. "Eleanor told me." Aunt Eleanor, my mother's younger sister, the only person in the family who'd ever openly questioned how my parents treated me. "Grandpa, Don't." He held up a hand. "You don't need to explain anything. But I do need you to come somewhere with me." He reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. Cream-colored, elegant, formal, an invitation. "My 70th birthday party, next Saturday. The whole family will be there." His eyes met mine, and I have some things that need to be said. Grandpa Thomas sat at my kitchen table, watching Lily and Lucas with a soft smile. They'd taken to him immediately, showing off their toys, demanding his attention. He gave it freely. "They look just like you did at that age," he said. "Same stubborn chin." I set down 2 cups of coffee and took the seat across from him. "Grandpa, how did you find out? About the accident? About everything?" "Eleanor called me the night it happened." He wrapped his hands around the mug. "She'd heard through one of your cousins, when she told me what your parents did." He stopped, jaw tightening. "I've watched this for years, Myra. The way Helen and Richard treat you versus Vanessa. I'm old, but I'm not blind." I stared at my coffee. I thought maybe I was imagining it, making it bigger than it was. "You weren't." His voice carried the weight of a man who'd spent decades separating truth from lies. "I was a federal judge for 40 years. I know how to read people. I know what favoritism looks like, what exploitation looks like." He leaned forward. "Tell me something. Do you still have records of the money you've sent them?" I nodded slowly. "Every transfer, 8 years." "Good." He sat back. "I want you to put together a summary. Every payment, every date, every amount." "Why?" "Because at my birthday party, in front of the entire family, I intend for the truth to come out." His eyes were steel. "Not as an attack, not as revenge, simply as facts. And facts, as I learned in 40 years on the bench, have a way of speaking for themselves. My hands trembled around my mug. What if they hate me? The ones who matter won't. He reached across and squeezed my hand. And the ones who do never deserved you. The next 2 weeks were a blur of preparation. I printed every bank statement, every transfer confirmation, 8 years of financial records, organized chronologically, bound in a plain manila folder. Looking at it all together was staggering. Month after month, year after year, a river of money flowing one direction. Aunt Eleanor came over 3 days before the party. She was 55, sharp-tongued, and had always been the black sheep of the family for refusing to pretend everything was fine. She flipped through the folder, her expression darkening with each page. $360,000, she said flatly. Myra, do you understand what this is? I know. This is more than most people make in 7 years of full-time work. She set down the folder. And they called you a burden. I pressed my palms against the kitchen counter. I don't want to destroy the family, Aunt Eleanor. I just want them to see, to acknowledge what I've done. You're not destroying anything. She stood and put her hand on my shoulder. You're just stopping the lie. They built their comfortable life on your silence. You're not obligated to keep giving them that. I nodded, though my stomach churned with anxiety. What if everyone takes their side? Some might. Family is complicated. She shrugged. But your grandfather has a lot of influence, and more importantly, you have the truth. That evening, I got a text from a cousin I barely spoke to. Heard you and your parents had a falling out. Vanessa's been telling everyone you've been acting erratic since your accident. Just wanted to give you a heads up. I stared at the message. They were already spinning the narrative, painting me as unstable, preparing their defense before I even arrived. I hadn't wanted a fight, but it seemed